creek. Walk 'em up and down in the summer heat. Same old boy changing like the seasons. Country kid turning to a town right heathen. Country kid turning to a town right heathen.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Old Man Van Running. Here again in the Old Man Van Cave, the Old Man Van Castle. Now it's been quite a while since I posted a training update. 4 weeks ago today, I started not to feel so well. I had done a 15-mile run on the 21st of July. The next day, I normally go out and run with the young professionals from my company, and I just didn't feel great that day. I didn't have any cough or any chest congestion or headache or anything, just didn't feel quite okay. So I decided to take a rest day and just kind of, see how things went. You listen to your body and see how things went the rest of the week. Well, the next morning I woke up and I didn't feel so well either. So I decided to work from home that day. Turned out I worked from home that Tuesday and Wednesday and went back to work on Thursday. Took a few days off from running, just wasn't feeling too well. Again, I didn't have any congestion, coughing, headache, any of that stuff, but I lost my appetite. I couldn't eat. I didn't want to eat. I wasn't nauseous. I wasn't throwing up. I didn't have stomach cramps. I just lost my appetite and just didn't feel right. So, I kind of played it out for a few days and, felt like, okay, things were starting to get back to normal. I was having some, some issues there, going to the bathroom, and that was not too much fun. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I got a little bit of an intestinal virus or something like that, and it'll pass, maybe food poisoning, something like that. It felt like it was starting to get better. I tried a couple of easy runs, but I just wasn't feeling great. This went on for a couple of weeks, right? I'd feel like I was starting to get better, and then all of a sudden I'd have the runs, man. I'd have the runs real bad, but then it would kind of go away. But I still had no appetite. I had no appetite, although I could taste my food, I could smell my food, and when I did taste the food, it tasted good. I just wasn't hungry. So this went on for a couple of weeks. I did do my previous update video. That was like that next week. Kind of did that. I told you I wasn't feeling all that great, but I feel like I was coming back from it pretty easily. Well, fast forward, I had a bad week in week number 2, I believe. It was really bad, but then it started to feel good again. I started to eat a little bit. Not so bad. Well, I get to a week ago today. So I had tried to run over the weekend. That Saturday, I was going to run like 5 miles, but I didn't get 5 miles. I had to run into the woods twice during that run. And towards the end of the runs, I was starting to get a little bit dizzy and not so good. I had done a couple of other very easy runs, but they were very, very slow. 11 minutes per mile. And I just was losing energy. So a week ago yesterday on Sunday, I weighed myself, and I had gone down over the course of 3 weeks from 164.6 pounds down to 150. I had lost almost 15 pounds in 3 weeks. Not good at all. In addition to that, I was very depressed. I couldn't get my runs in. I couldn't get my long runs in. I would try to run and I'd get a few miles, but man, I just wouldn't feel good. And I'm like, I'm going to start detraining here. This is putting a big lug wrench in the middle of my Chicago Marathon training. So I was getting depressed. I basically shut myself off from YouTube, from Facebook, from Instagram, from everything. Just went to work and I just kind of laid there when I got home. I stayed off of social media. I didn't call anybody. I didn't talk to anybody. I was really getting depressed. Well, a week ago today, I wasn't feeling too good, right? I weighed 150 the day before. I go to work and I'm like, maybe I'm starting to feel okay. Had a little bit of breakfast before I left the house. Went to work, worked in the morning. I wasn't doing too bad. Had a big salad at about 11:30 a.m. I had salmon in there. I had all these vegetables, just vinegar and oil, a lot of really good stuff, really healthy salad. Ate that for lunch. Went to a meeting at 1 p.m. Was in a big conference room, no issues there whatsoever. Was there for an hour. Then I hung back out with my boss for a little while after that to watch some slides that he was putting up. He wanted to get my opinion on them. Well, while we were sitting there in this conference room, I started to get some kind of like floaters in my left eye, almost like a kaleidoscope going around and around in my left eye. And there was no color to it, but it was just kind of on the periphery. I felt maybe my eyes were tired, right? So I kind of rubbed my eyes a little bit, took my glasses off, and it was still there, but nothing much. I figured it was just tired eyes. So I walked through the building, down some stairs to my office, and now we were a little bit before 3 p.m. So I sat down at my desk. I have 2 screens, started to work, and I was still getting the floaters. I was still getting that kaleidoscope kind of moving around in my left eye. So I'm like, that's kind of weird. Took my glasses off, kind of rubbed my eyes again. And when I did that, I broke out in a cold sweat on my forehead and on the back of my neck. And I'm like, wow, something's not right here. Something's not right. So I got up and I walked into the office area. It's a big office area filled with cubicles. That's where the engineers and the quality engineers and all those folks that are direct reports to me and the other functions, all in that area. And I walked out there figuring, let me see what's going on. And when I went out there, the floaters got worse. The kaleidoscope effect got worse on my left eye. And I'm like, whoa, something's weird. And then I started to feel dizzy. And I was kind of walking around, kind of starting to lose my balance. And since there were folks out there, I said, whoa, something's going on here. One of the engineers came out, one of my quality engineers came out. They're like, hey, Bill, get back in your office. They brought me back into my office. They sat me down on the floor so I wouldn't fall down. And I'm like, okay, let me just kind of hang out here. They dialed the emergency number at work. We have a nurse on site, a nurse's office on site. She came down with some EMTs from the security department, and they took my vitals. They took my blood pressure, right, my pulse, all that stuff. Now, my blood pressure sitting down on the floor wasn't too bad. And she's like, maybe you're a little dehydrated, maybe something's off, maybe your electrolytes, something like that. Let's go up to the nurse's office, kind of hang out in there and see what's going on. Because at that point, I'm like, listen, probably just had a little dizzy spell there. Maybe I got to drink something. So they took me up to the nurse's office, put me in a wheelchair to bring me up there because they didn't want to walk me up the stairs. Put me into an exam room. And the nurse there, she starts taking my blood pressure. I was about 120/70, sitting on the table and laying down, sitting and laying down. And then she said, I want you to get up and stand up if you can, and I want to take your blood pressure there. I got up and boom, it dropped to like 90/60. And she's like, listen, this is not normal. Something's going on here. Really, really recommend that we get you to the hospital. That's what they did. They called the ambulance. They rushed me to a hospital in Middletown, Connecticut. I got there, I think like 4:15, 4:30. They had put an IV in me in the ambulance, right, to get some fluids in me. Got me into the ER. I was in the ER from probably around 4:30 till after midnight. Brutal. Brutal. If you've ever been in an ER, you know what it's like. So we're in the ER. I had called my kids. My kids got there before I did, all 3 of my kids. So that was really nice of them. But man, I didn't want to put them through that. And they did a blood test on me, or they did a blood panel on me. And I was waiting, for like an hour, 2 hours to get the results back. Once the results came back, I noticed that there were a number of things that were low. Things like red blood cells, hemoglobin, calcium, protein, things like that were low. I have a MyChart app, so when test results go in, I can see them. And they hadn't even come in to talk to me about it, and I had already seen my blood test, and I was getting a little bit nervous. And at the same time, I'm hooked up to EKGs, and I've got another bag of solution going in my arm, so I'm getting a little nervous there, right? I start Googling things, and I'm getting a little worried. Well, so the doctor finally comes in, and she's like, there's some things that are a little bit low there, but not overly low. I was a little bit nervous, so it was good to finally hear that, the things I was thinking about with seeing those low test results was really scaring me a little bit. But then she said, with the weight loss, with the lack of appetite, I really think you need to get an abdominal CAT scan. And she said, if you go to your doctor, your primary care doctor, and try to schedule one that's going to be weeks out, you're here already, get it done. Get it done today. So I'm like, okay, I'll get the CAT scan done. Fast forward, finally they get me into the CAT scan room. They injected dye into my IV so that they could have contrast, right, and get good pictures. I went through that whole process, and then I went back to the room and waited for the doctor to come with the results. Fast forward again, doctor comes in, and she's like, listen, I don't like to scare patients, before they go in for the CAT scan and something like this. She said, so I didn't say anything to you. She said, but I had been worried that, this potentially could be pancreatic cancer, so I didn't want to say anything. Luckily, though, it wasn't. There was some inflammation that she saw, some colitis there, that looked like it was probably viral in nature. One of the nurses earlier had told me that there was kind of like a COVID-like intestinal bug going around. So who knows? It could have been COVID. I never got tested because I didn't have respiratory issues, but potentially it could have been a COVID strain that was intestinal. So she didn't see anything serious there outside of the inflammation. And she felt that that was probably an effect of the virus and that I had been very dehydrated. Even though I had been trying to hydrate, it wasn't enough because I was having diarrhea and I was having, so I was having different issues there. So she referred me to a gastroenterologist, which I'm going to go see next week. So she released me at about 12:30 a.m. on Tuesday morning. So that was a week ago. Well, I went home. The next day was a little bit uncomfortable because now everything wasn't working too well. And I went from one extreme to the other extreme and I had to get things moving again. So she suggested some over-the-counter stuff to get things moving again, which finally, mid-afternoon that occurred. And I was home, obviously, not at work. And finally things started to feel better. My appetite was coming back. Now it was trying to get some strength and get some weight back on my body. A couple of days later, actually on that Wednesday, I was like, I got to have some meat, I got to have some protein, I got to have something with fat in it. So I went and actually got a big cheeseburger, a big steamed cheeseburger, which is a big thing here in Connecticut. And I got one of those and it was actually really good. I ate the whole thing and it was massive. And then the next day I went and had 2/3 of a pizza with sausage and all that stuff. So all of a sudden my appetite was coming back. I was more regular and things were feeling a lot better. And then, okay, all this stuff, now it's like, can I still run? So Wednesday, I went out for a easy 3-mile run to test things out. I still wasn't back at work, but I was home. I was feeling a lot better. I went out, did 3 easy miles around my neighborhood, and I got through it okay. I didn't feel horrible, and I got through it okay. It was still slow, but, it was a good step. The next day, I decided, I'm going to do a little bit more. And I went and I did a little over 4 miles. And that was really good. So I had 7 miles in 2 days. Friday, I took Friday off. I did go to work, but I didn't run on Friday. Figured I'd rest up, right? Didn't want to overdo it. Still coming back. Still not 100%. And then Saturday, I went out and said, okay, let me try a little bit longer run. The longest run I had done was in my previous video there, which was 6 miles. During this time, I wasn't feeling well. So I went and did 7 miles on the Farmington Canal Trail and got through it pretty well. Now, towards the end, the heart rate started racing again. Not really racing, but started going up there. But it wasn't bad. I didn't get all dizzy toward the end there. I just had to kind of pull it back a little bit. So worked out pretty well. Got through that run very, very well. Didn't have any incidents where I had to run into the woods, anything like that. So I'm like, okay, pretty good. Well, I haven't done a double-digit run since the 21st of July. So yesterday, Sunday, which is typically my long run day, I said, you know what? Let me see if I can do a longer run. Initially, I'm like, should I try a 10-miler? I did a 7-miler on Saturday. Should I try a 10-miler? Well, I ran out the door probably a little before 4 o'clock. I don't know. I ran out the door, walked out the door, and we were having massive storms and rain and floods and everything in Connecticut yesterday, but it was a little bit west of where I live. And so we were on the edge and it wasn't raining when I walked out the door. less than 0.2 miles into that run, it started raining, and I'm saying, the heck with that. I'm getting back in the house. Got back in the house and decided I was going to get on the treadmill. Well, I got on the treadmill and I'm like, let me see how I feel. Maybe I do 3 or 4 miles because I hate the treadmill. Next thing you know, I did 7 miles on the treadmill yesterday. So what does this mean for me, right? I'm going to tell you, I am still up in the air as to whether or not I'm going to run Chicago. The question is whether I'm going to defer. Chicago, you can defer, and I'm on the fence. I'm starting to feel better, but I'm not 100%. I need to get those long runs in, and I've missed pretty much a month of long runs. The question is, how much have I detrained? I was able to get a few little runs in here or there, and I even got one 1-hour session in the pool, but the question is my base of fitness from all the marathon running I've been doing and everything enough to get me back into it in the relatively short time we have before the marathon, less than 2 months, to get me back to where I can have a decent run, maybe not a PR, but still have a decent run. So I'm really on the fence. I'm not as depressed as I was a couple of weeks back because I'm starting to feel better. I've kind of come to terms with, hey, you know what? If you don't get back to 100%, you just got to, defer. It's not the end of the world. So I'm still on the fence with that. I did get 21 miles over the last 4 days, which is really good. I took today off. It's Monday. I feel it a little bit from yesterday, but that's no big deal. I'm going to go out tomorrow if I'm feeling decent and maybe get 7 or 8 miles. And I'm going to see if I can get through this week. And if I get through this week and can do maybe a 12 to 13 mile run next Sunday, then I think I may still run Chicago. If it doesn't work out well and I'm still struggling, I'm going to have to make a decision. And I think within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to have to make that decision. So I'll keep you all posted. I am working on the Mizuno Neo Vista shoe review, so that's almost done. I apologize. I've just been out of it, been not feeling well, and I wanted to give you an update so you know what's going on. Thanks for your support, as always. I really do appreciate it. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so you'll get notified when more videos are posted. Comments, any and all comments really do help the channel. And as always, if you know friends, running pals, acquaintances, coworkers, family members that you feel may enjoy the Old Man Van Running channel, please let them know. So thanks again for your support and your patience. I really do appreciate it. I'm over 3,000 subscribers now, so that's a big milestone for me. I just got to get more content out. And now that I'm feeling a little bit better, I'm going to start getting that content out more regularly. So thanks for sticking with me. And as always, I'm going to leave you with something positive, right? And that is, lace up those shoes and let's get out on the roads.
Railroad tracks run along the creek, walk 'em up and down in the summer heat. Same old boy changing like the seasons, country kid turning to a town right heathen.